Ukrainian F-16 fighter jets launched devastating strike on Russian tanks. In the early hours of a summer morning in 2025, the quiet hum of Ukrainian skies was pierced by a squadron of F-16 fighter jets racing toward the Eastern Front. These American-built jets, now flown by seasoned Ukrainian pilots, were not on a training run or a defensive intercept. Their mission was clear and bold: to strike a heavily fortified Russian armored staging area before it could unleash a new ground assault. The target was a concealed tank column hidden just behind contested lines. Dozens of armored vehicles, support trucks, and fuel convoys preparing for an advance. Russian forces had grown comfortable operating under the assumption that Ukraine's limited air power could not reach them there. That assumption would prove fatally wrong. Flying low to avoid radar detection, the F-16s approached in tight formation. Equipped with precision-guided munitions and real-time target coordinates from ground operatives and aerial drones, the jets closed in on the site. At exactly 04:18 a.m., the silence was broken by a wave of explosions. The F-16s unleashed their payload, striking the tanks with pinpoint accuracy. Fireballs lit the dark horizon as the Russian position was ripped apart. Within minutes, the entire tank column was disabled, vehicles destroyed, fuel depots ignited, and the staging ground left in ruins. This was not just a tactical victory, it was symbolic. The F-16s, long awaited and once seen as a distant promise, had arrived, and they were changing the rhythm of the war. For months, these jets had been used primarily for defensive roles, shooting down missiles, intercepting drones, and guarding critical infrastructure. But as Ukrainian pilots gained experience, their role evolved. No longer limited to reacting, Ukraine was now capable of launching controlled offensive air operations deep into enemy-held zones. This shift didn't happen overnight. It followed months of accelerated pilot training, tactical innovation, and integration with Ukraine's broader battlefield strategy. The jets were paired with surveillance drones and ground reconnaissance teams to form a lethal modern strike system. Enemy movements could be tracked, targeted, and eliminated before they reached Ukrainian lines. The impact of the tank strike was immediate and far-reaching. Russian commanders were forced to cancel a scheduled offensive, pulling back surviving units and scrambling to relocate remaining assets. The loss of so many armored vehicles in a single blow not only weakened their frontline capabilities, but sowed fear among other units preparing for combat. If F-16s could reach them here, nowhere was safe. But the mission also came with sacrifice. One of the F-16s sustained damage during the return flight after encountering surface-to-air fire. The pilot, rather than ejecting over a populated area, guided the damaged aircraft away from civilian zones. He didn't survive. His name quickly became known across Ukraine, hailed as a hero who gave his life to protect others. This moment marked more than the destruction of hardware. It marked the rise of a new phase in Ukraine's defense strategy. The skies were no longer only a shield, they had become a sword. Across the military, morale surged. The success of the strike proved that Ukraine could hit hard and precisely, even without massive numbers of aircraft. Each F-16 sortie now carried strategic weight. They weren't just deterrents, they were instruments of disruption, capable of reshaping the battlefield before enemy plans even took form. In the days that followed, similar strikes began unfolding across different sectors. Fuel depots, artillery positions, and logistics hubs became primary targets. Russian armored units, once the dominant force on the ground, were now being hunted from the air. Ukraine's use of F-16s is part of a broader evolution in modern warfare. Rather than relying on mass assaults, it is employing precision, coordination, and speed. The jets operate in tandem with long-range drones, satellite surveillance, and mobile artillery. Together they create a system that can identify threats, strike them quickly, and relocate before the enemy can respond. This air-ground integration has complicated Russia's strategy. What was once a grinding, attritional war has begun to tilt into something far more dynamic. Every tank moved forward is now a risk. Every staging area is now a potential target. Every night, Ukrainian jets prowl the skies, not just to defend, but to dominate. Still, the fight is far from over. Russia continues to adapt, investing in new air defenses and adjusting its tactics. Subscribe for more videos.